What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this is episode 325. And we are just coming off the heels of a free Patreon episode that I did for you guys, our Patreon podcast series episode number 52. This is just kind of celebrating doing a whole year of the podcast series, and I wanted to make it free for everyone. So if that's something you might be interested in, go check it out. Go give it a listen, get a feel for what it's like on the Patreon side of things. Of course, to be a part of that and to get access to all of the other great content that's on Patreon. All it takes is a small subscription fee. All I ask for is at least $1, but you can do as much as you want. We have some people that do more than $1, but all I ask, or all that I request, is that you donate at least $1 a month to gain access to all that content and more content going forward in the year. Other than that, not too much to really talk about this week, guys. A little bit of things in the nifty nerd news. Of course, we're going to follow up on some more COVID-19 stuff because that's really important, really timely things that we need to talk about. But also this week, if you listen to the Patreon episode that I released over on Twitter and Facebook for Patreon, you'll also know that this week I'm doing two reviews. Not only am I doing the comic book review for Thor, God of Thunder 18 through 25, but I'm also going to be reviewing Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which me and my wife just saw this weekend, because we like to take our sweet-ass time, and, you know, we're stuck in our home because we don't want to catch that COVID shit. But, yeah, so let's just get on with it. Let's move on to the nifty nerd news. All right, guys, up first in the nifty nerd news for this week, Frozen 2, which if you've checked your Disney Plus apps and streaming services, whatever you want to call it, is now on Disney Plus. I mean, that was kind of what I was trying to get to. But what's crazy about it is it's actually 3 months earlier than what it was supposed to be. Disney decided to move the movie on to Disney Plus. Not in honor, I was about to say in honor of COVID-19, no, but because of COVID-19, a lot of places are doing like voluntarily quarantines. Oh, okay, RJ, is that what we're doing? He is throwing his dolls on the floor because he hates them. No, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I guess he's trying to make them fly. Anyway, so, you know, because of all these volunteer quarantines that cities and counties and states are requesting, or, you know, asking people, hey, you know, let's try to socially distance ourselves from other people so that way we can try to, you know, bring down the cases to a more manageable number. That way we don't overload our medical system. And so, best way to do that, Netflix and chill. And so that's kind of what we're doing, guys. Our Disney Plus and just us. I don't know what you want to say or how you want to say it. Did you hurt yourself, bud? He like tripped on the bed and now he stopped jumping and he's like, oh. It's like Peter Griffin when he like skins his knee. He's like, ah. Anyway, so yeah, it's some pretty neat stuff. Other companies have been doing other things, like Image Comics. They've actually made over 100 of their issue number ones free to read. All you got to do is go to imagecomics.com and you can read a bunch of comics totally free, and stay home and not get sick. What's funny or not funny is like all the major sport leagues have disbanded the rest of their seasons. They've postponed, canceled, or just been like, nah, brah, we ain't going to do this. But one team from the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, has said, hey, we're going to use 2K basketball, and we're going to simulate the rest of our games that we had scheduled, which I think is a pretty cool idea. In fact, a lot of other people are talking about like getting like representatives from each team to play, like, you know, like FIFA for soccer, the show for baseball, and simulate these games and be like, nope, these if whoever wins the video game, that's who wins the real game. And like maybe that's how we're going to decide who wins the World Series this year. Who knows? I think it's fun. I mean, a lot of people are playing around with this. Maybe esports becomes a very like legit thing now. I mean, esports has been and always will be legit. It's an actual like major league gaming. You know, it's a big thing. You know, but what if because of COVID-19 and because we're all staying at home, what if this is like the thing? You know, like now we're all just going to be watching people stream and like get totally into gaming, man. Like this could be it. Like games are the future. Games are where we're going to like make money and all that crazy stuff. I mean, like look at this, like this other article. Like I'm just segueing straight into articles, thinking of all this stuff. These activists on the internet actually took to Minecraft to create a digital library. They used 12.5 million bricks or blocks or whatever the hell you use in Minecraft to build it, to build this library. And why is this important? Why is this a big deal? Well, there's a lot of countries in this world where journalism, news, and other types of media are censored, where they can't read it, they can't view it, they're not allowed to. However, in a lot of those countries that do censor these things, they actually don't ban Minecraft. And so what these people are doing is using Minecraft as like a medium or a means to get these articles, to get this news, to get all this censored stuff to the people who could benefit from seeing it, could benefit from the knowledge that can be made. Of course, I say this now, but now that the news is out and now that probably a bunch of other internet sites are reporting on it, people from these horrible countries are going to shut down Minecraft now, and it's all our fault, and my fault included. I don't know. But that's such a cool thing, though. Like, well, not cool that like it has to be made because other people are living in such terrible conditions, but the fact that, hey, we can make a virtual library that anyone can go to, like a la Ready Player One's The Oasis, you know? Like, I mean, in Ready Player One, it looked way more, like super graphics and cool, but in real life, it's gonna be Minecraft. So I don't know. You run with that however you want. That's really it that I wanted to cover for the Nifty Nerd News, guys. Like I said, COVID-19 is really putting a hurting on all the fun that we've been having in IRL, in the real world. A lot of conventions are shutting down. Either rescheduling or shutting down. Major League Sports, same thing. Hell, it's hitting the entertainment industry. A lot of shows aren't filming for like the new season of like television and stuff. So a lot of stuff's being pushed back. I know, what was it? Fear the Walking Dead is pushing back filming. So I think the new season's going to be delayed. So like, it's pretty crazy that this is having such a huge effect on just every part of our lives. And what's kind of crazy is the county, the city that I live in, has had its first positive case of COVID-19. That person, they haven't given a name or where that person worked or anything like that, which, I mean, is protecting that person. But at the same time, if they worked out where I worked at and I possibly could have come into contact with them, I would really like to know. The only thing that I was able to get from the press release, that it was a woman and that she is now resting at the regional medical center here in our county and seems to be doing fine. I don't know how long she's been there, but we'll see if any new cases pop up. So we'll be keeping you guys posted on that. Other than that, that's it for the Nifty Nerd News. Let's move on to some movie and comic book reviews.
Hey, this is Liz.
Hey, this is Heather.
And we are Nerdy Bitches Podcast.
A show where two geeky ladies podcast their way through pop culture.
From movies and TV to our regular book club and everything in between, we bring you our favorite fandoms with a feminine eye.
We are talking Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, comic books, and anime.
And don't forget sci-fi, fantasy, action movies, video games, D&D, board games, and so much more.
Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, or wherever you find awesome podcasts.
You can also find us hanging out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and at nerdybitches.com.
See you soon.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for the short intermission there. We are going to be talking about two things that I wanted to review this week. First thing up, though, is the latest Star Wars movie, the last Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker. And here comes Kylo Ren herself. There's not a video, so you can't just, like, walk up on it.
They sense me, it's fine.
They can just sense your presence in the Force.
They sense the hashtag Raylo.
Oh, yeah. Well, so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the movie. It's been out for a while now. I mean, it's on streaming services. Me and my wife bought it so that way we could watch it for COVID-19 hashtag quarantine party. I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's weird. So I got a few thoughts. It's funny because I've seen so many different things on the internet. People either really loving it or extremely hating it. And so I wasn't sure what to think going into it. I just wanted to keep an open mind. And I just wanted to be entertained. And did Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker do that for me? Yes. It entertained me. I actually really loved the ending. Excuse me, I kind of burped and threw up a little bit in my mouth. What? I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the mic. Oh, me and my wife are just yelling at each other from across the house. And now my son's yelling because everyone else is yelling. And this is kind of how Star Wars was. No, so I really love the ending, or like the final arc of the movie, where kind of like the big climaxes, the final fight. That stuff is really fun, really cool. The stuff between Rey and Ben is really awesome. My big issue with this movie, and the thing that really, and even my wife, we both kind of tilted our head in confusion, is everything leading up to this point, or to that point, like the final boss fight, feels like you're watching the highlights to a longer film. Like everything, like the cuts, the editing feels so weird throughout the whole runtime of this movie until like the final scenes. Okay.
I wouldn't say
I thought it
all
felt
the way till the final scene, but I felt like as soon as...
Where are your pants? You just came in here.
I was getting ready for bed.
That's how excited you are.
But I feel like I'm sorry. This is why I edit YouTube videos, because of this.
It's fine.
But basically, until you get to the point of the movie, which is maybe halfway through.
And it's a long movie.
No, maybe a quarter of the way through the movie is when it actually smooths out. But in the very beginning, it's just very jumpy.
It's very cutty.
It's like almost like you're thrown into the story. It's like they know they're leading you up to the point of the movie, but it just wasn't smooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just jagged, jittery. It was like, your friend who's hopped up on caffeine and other shit, and he's trying to tell you this really cool story, and so he's just jumping around, and then he remembers other stuff while he's telling a different part of the story, and then goes back. That's kind of how it felt. It felt like your crazy friend from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was trying to tell you a story a movie about Star Wars. And that's what we got.
Only like a quarter of the way.
Yeah. No, but like I said, after that, like
there was a distinct point where it just like, okay, this is the point of the story, and it's going.
I'm trying to think where that point was. It kind of when they go on that other planet to like reboot C-3PO or like get the navigation. Because remember, they got to find that pyramid thing.
Yeah, basically, like once you get to the point of like we have to find this triangle, that's where it smooths out.
Yeah, I believe that.
But just like the beginning is just a little. But I like the movie. And maybe that makes me a basic bitch because I have ships. Okay? I have ships.
You were happy. You squealed with such glee during this entire movie. Well, you squealed with glee and then you cried uncontrollably at the same time.
They gave me my ship and then they sunk it.
They did. Because, like, the whole time, that's what you wanted. You wanted Ren, Kyle.
And I didn't even expect to get it. I was like, I'm just that girl that ships them. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe they'll hug. And then other things happen. And I'm just like...
I mean, you can tell them what happened.
Did you say spoiler alert?
Yeah, we know there's going to be spoilers.
But then they kiss, though?
But then they kiss, though? And that's when you just scream, like...
Because, look, I've been hashtag Relo since the thigh grab. Hashtag thigh grab. Since then.
Quit tapping on
the
desk. You were just all about... Da, 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 da.
This is why I don't do podcasts.
No, I love you.
I have real feelings.
And you got
for the thigh grab.
You got to realize those feelings, though, in this movie.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people hate that they did that.
But you all can fuck off. No.
Yeah. And, there's, like, rumors going around that it wasn't romantic.
Well, because...
completely platonic.
You were saying something about it was, like, in a book or something?
Yeah, so the novelization of the Rise of Skywalker. They basically have a segment whenever it happens that says, like... people are basically saying, because of what it said in the book, it's platonic. But this is why... This is why we all have our own dreams, okay?
I guess, but, like, in the context of the movie, like, it does not feel platonic at all.
Not at all.
It feels like this crazy moment where...
but do you kiss people on the mouth when you give them platonic kisses? Huh?
No, because of COVID.
Yeah, don't be doing that right now.
Don't be doing that right now. Don't kiss no one. No. I don't know, like, the movie made it feel very romantic in a way, like... Well, not like very romantic, like
it was romantic.
But it felt like a romantic kiss.
Felt it.
It felt like a love kiss, not like a.
I mean, we all knew what was going to happen whenever she saw him with no shirt on, and he was sitting there with his wide ass abdomen, out for everybody to see. You knew that look. You knew what that look meant.
That was that thirsty look, because that boy thick. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was weird. But, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it doesn't bother me as much as some people have been bothered by it.
Right. I don't know. Like, I'm definitely a different kind of Star Wars fan, so maybe I'm not a true Star Wars fan.
Oh, bullshit. You're a Star Wars fan.
But I loved it.
That's all that matters, is that you like the movie.
And now I've been on a crazy fan fiction read, so...
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, fan fiction. Tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, not that kind of fan fiction.
Relo.
Oh, it is that kind of fan fiction?
No.
Oh, okay.
Some of it is.
Some of what I'm reading is like polish my saber.
Ew.
Oh, we're gross.
Anyways, okay, bye now.
Okay, she got to say what she wanted to say. No, it was, and Casey's right. Like, it's fun, and I think as long as you just look at it as like, hey, I want to be entertained, it is entertaining. It hits all the cool notes. Lando comes back, and he's a pretty badass character. There's some more stormtroopers who rebel against the First Order, Final Order, the Sith, whatever you want to call them. Of course, the big villain that comes back in this movie is Palpatine from like the prequels, and he was Palpatine in the prequels, but the Emperor in the other movies. So he's like the big bad in all this, comes back, and it turns out Rey is his granddaughter, that he had a son. Yeah, he had a son, and someone else was I can't remember who the mom was. Doesn't even matter really at this point. But Rey is the granddaughter of Palpatine, which is crazy as shit. And like they have that moment, like before they even say it, her and Kylo Ren are like fighting, like force grabbing over like some transport trying to save Chewie. Kylo Ren's trying to steal Chewie, and Rey is trying to keep him. And then she gets pushed so hard that she shoots lightning bolts out of her hands. And then that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh shit, because I didn't really know going up into this movie, but when that happened and lightning bolts came out, I was like, that's the Emperor. Like, that's one of his power moves. She's Palpatine. And so that's like the crazy thing. It's crazy awesome. But then like things go in the movie, and it turns out like Leia and Luke knew, but still wanted to train her and stuff. And like, so there's a lot of weird stuff that happens through this. There's a lot of like backpedaling on the second movie, which I heard people mention, and it wasn't like huge backpedaling on it. It was just kind of like throwaway lines that kind of like say, well, we can't do that. Like they mentioned like, hey, why don't we just throw our ships at the other ships like what's her name did in the second movie to like destroy like the Emperor's like the Empire's huge ship. Like, can't really do that. It's like 1 in a million shot that would have even worked. So we're not going to do it. And so like there was a lot of weird stuff that kind of just explain it away. What's her name? Rose, who played a very prominent role in the second movie, is almost non-existent in this movie. Like she's there for like 3 scenes, it feels like, if that. Maybe has like 2 lines of dialogue. Like, I don't know. It was crazy. It was weird. And I don't know if that was just because they want to go in a different direction with the movie, if they're really pulling back because of like the fans, like the angry ass fans that got pissed off that Rose was even a thing. Like, I don't know. Sorry, I took a drink of water. I don't know. So like when I sit and like nitpick at the movie, yeah, there's a lot of things that I probably didn't enjoy, but overall there was a lot of cool stuff from it. Like there was this cool force power, which made no sense at all. Where like, and I guess like it's kind of like mentioned that like Ben and Rey are like this unique force within the Force. Like they have like this unique ability with each other, and it's weird because it's like, even though they're in 2 separate places, through the Force, they're able to like transfer objects to each other in a way. A lot of times it was done accidentally, not on purpose, until the very end when they use it to transfer a lightsaber from Rey to Ben, and he's able to defeat like the Knights of Ren, which was pretty badass and really cool to watch. And how that whole concept worked was really kind of interesting to see it play out in the movie, because like you see her, like she's got the lightsaber, and it's like she's gonna strike down Palpatine and kill him, and that's all he wants, because it's just like, you know, the Return of the Jedi when he's trying to get Luke to like strike down him or Vader and assume the throne, all that kind of weird shit. And instead Rey puts like the lightsaber behind her back and then shows her hand, and it's like completely gone. I'm like, oh, did you just drop it? And then like all of a sudden you see Ben pull it out from behind his back, and he starts like whooping up on the Knights of Ren. So there were some really cool moments that I really enjoyed. Finn got to have some pretty badass moments in here and some cool fighting, which I really enjoyed. But I don't know, there's not really too much to talk about. Was it a great movie on its own? No, I wouldn't say that, but I did enjoy it. It might have felt a little too long, if I'm being honest. I think what hurt it, and it sucks to say it like this, but I think having Leia, her actress, the actress who played her, Carrie Fisher, pass away really hurt what their plans were for this movie, and you can like really tell like just the editing gymnastics they had to pull to get this to work. And it's sloppy. Like I feel like especially the first, like my wife said, the first quarter of the movie feels really sloppy and really just like the only way I can describe it is like if you're watching like, like highlights of a sporting event, like that's kind of what it feels like, like you go to YouTube, you watch like, this team's highlights of the game. That's kind of what it felt like to me to the first half of this movie. It's like you're watching the highlights of a even longer Star Wars movie, and it felt weird. It felt like I was just being like just forced through for most of it. So I don't know. It was weird and strange, and my son is dragging shit around the room. So I'm sorry for that. But yeah, that's it for my review of Star Wars and my thoughts on it. Let's take a short intermission here, and we're going to finish things up with my review of Thor, God of Thunder. All right, guys, we're back for the final review of this episode where we're taking a look at Thor, God of Thunder, issues number 18 through issues number 25. Of course, it's by Jason Aaron. RJ, you suck. And he's still going to do it. Jason Aaron and Asad Ribic is on art. Overall, though, I do want to say, before I get into all this, I'm really enjoying this series. Seeing Thor and just never really reading Thor to begin with, and now getting a chance to like dig into this and leading up to the stuff where Thor's no longer Thor, where Jane Foster steps into the role as Thor, the female version of Thor, and just how that all plays out. And then, of course, eventually leading into the War of the Realms, which you can, as we've talked about in previous episodes, you can see the building blocks for that happening here in this storyline. And I think you get some more building blocks put in as these final issues continue. So, with that being said, let's go on and let's talk about them issue by issue. So issue 18 actually is just a throwaway issue. It really caps off the end of volume 3, which we talked about 2 episodes ago, and so has no place in the last days of Midgard storyline, which we're about to get into, but it's a standalone story, It basically, Thor fights a drunken dragon. First he gets drunk with the drunken dragon, then he's like, has sex with bitches and kills things and just does, Thor things with the drunken dragon. Then the drunken dragon gets pissed off and tries to fight Thor. Thor has to fight the drunken dragon, and things go about as well as when two drunk friends fight, which is horribly. And that was kind of that issue, and it was okay. It was quite weird, but okay. Yeah, so let's move on to the actual, Thor actual stuff. So now we're dealing with, Time Thor, future, present Thor. Of course, President Thor is kind of like an environmentalist, he just, wants to keep the Earth safe because he's kind of commissioned with keeping Midgard alive. So he's helping Agent Rosalind Solomon, who is, I guess, new to being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know. I don't know too much about her, but apparently she's Thor's not girlfriend, or people keep making jokes the entire time, oh, what's it like dating Thor? Because I guess they just hang out a lot. I don't know. I've been reading this comic for a few weeks now, and I have no clue who Rosalind Solomon's supposed to be other than a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who hates Roxxon. Speaking of Roxxon, they're kind of playing the big bad in this. Thor is helping to disable submarines, or I guess kill them, because if you disable a submarine underwater and it gets full of water, you don't really come back from that. So, Thor's just killing a bunch of people who he's kind of sworn to protect. Good going, Thor. But yeah, Roxxon CEO Dario Agger is up to some shenanigans, basically destroying the planet for financial gain. While all that's happening, future Thor is just gonna fight Galactus for like the next 6 issues, and we'll probably just check in on him every few minutes. Anyway, moving on to the next issue, Thor takes Rosalind on a diner date. Eggs, coffee, Asgardian books about dead and dying worlds, that kind of romantic thing. Also, they have a sexy flight into, like, thunderclouds to rain down lightning on Roxxon facilities, destroying those facilities, but it's okay. We made sure no one was actually in them, that they were all just automated, because that's a thing, so we didn't kill people this time. Thor was a good god, a merciful god. Although, someone had to get in trouble for it. Like, someone had to get hurt. Of course, Dario Agger is angry, and when he gets angry, he kills lawyers. Like, that's just what he does. So, technically, they got murdered, death, killed as a result of what Thor did. So, kind of, Thor killed these dudes. Kind of, Also, Dario Agger likes to turn into this crazy Minotaur monster, because of course he fucking does. Because you can't just have a normal, like, Thor fights crazy CEO. Crazy CEO has to turn into some type of mythical beast so Thor can punch him without killing him, because Thor is going to punch him at some point during the series, and it would be really bad if he just, ripped a man in half with his bare fist. That would be really bad. So, of course, Dario Agger is some type of, like, freaking Minotaur monster thing. And I looked it up. I Wikipedia'd this dude to figure out, is like this a thing? Like, how long has this dude been in the comic series? Well, he's new. Like, Dario Agger is a new person brought up for the series, but it turns out, like, his parents, like, died in this horrible thing, and he was somehow put into, like, this place, like, and he wanted vengeance, and so the spirit or whatever, like, embodied him. Like, it's some weird convoluted shit that I really don't understand, nor do I really care about, because I just want Thor to punch the fuck out of this dude. So let's get on to that part. Agger, though, wants to get back at Thor, so he decides to build floating factories over Broxton, Oklahoma, which I was like, so? It's Oklahoma. But it turns out Broxton's kind of like, Thor's, like, home away from home, and that's where, like, all the Asgardians went to after their home got murdered, death, killed, so they got nowhere else to go. So, Broxton, Oklahoma kind of means a lot to Thor, so the fact that Roxxon is pretty much destroying the city, but pretending to act like it's helping it. Like, look at all these cool new things we brought to it. But also, we're poisoning the water, dirtying the air, and kind of just killing all life that existed here. So, you want some coffee? Like, I don't know. But, so Agger basically sues the cape off of Thor for, damages to property and all kinds of other shit. And basically, Mjolnir is no match for the hammer of justice, or really the hammer of corrupt legality and shit like that. So, moving on. I don't even know what issue we're on. Oh yeah, future Thor's still fighting Galactus by the way, and at this point, I think his granddaughters join in. Yay. I don't know. Anyway, back to present-day Thor, who's doing his worst, like, cosplay of a dude doing a stealth mission ever. Like, he's wearing a cloak over just his regular superhero suit, or Thor suit, and he's just standing on a rooftop, like, Asgardian with a hammer on a rooftop doesn't... Like, that could be anyone, I guess? Like, I don't know what Thor's trying to think here. Of course, he meets Rosalind in her flying car in a cape on a rooftop when he's supposed to, not be anywhere near a Roxxon facility, because they got, like, a, what you call it? One of those orders where you can't go, like, anywhere near them for, like, 300 feet or yards, or else you get arrested. But I don't understand why Thor just doesn't kill this man, because he's literally a god who will live for, like, millions of years. And, like, his existence on this world in this time is pretty much just like a blink of an eye to him. So why not just, kill him and just live he can find a new Jane Foster. It's fine. And that it'd be great, like, I don't know why he's even just fucking with it. Like, just stop, man. Anyway, back to Rosalind in her flying car. Oh yeah, Thor hits on her and then flies away. Hoo, and leaving all doubt of like, oh, maybe that was Thor. No, that was obviously Thor. Oh yeah, and now trolls are a thing because, of course, Roxxon CEO is a Minotaur, so he's has to work with trolls. I mean, that's just, it has to happen. And I mean, this is a Thor comic book, so weird shit. It's like, it's not Deadpool, people, this Thor has fantastical things and all kinds of weird fantasy things happening. So trolls. Anyway, I lost my spot. Oh, there we are. Thor versus the Minotaur. So Rosalind is fighting trolls also. Trolls are fighting lawyers, which I got bad news for those lawyers. They're going to die because, like we talked about before, when Dario Agger gets angry, lawyers going to die. So trolls were sent to kill the lawyers. Thor is fighting the Minotaur, getting punchy, stabby. Rosalind is just shooting trolls with a gun, and they're going down like little punk bitches, which I guess is okay, but it seems a little too easy, if I'm being honest. And the city loses hard here. Despite Thor technically winning and beating Dario, the town gets fucked, man. But the lawyers got murdered, so Thor's kind of off the hook. So yay! Oh, and the future Thor defeats Galactus with the help of that black weapon. If you guys remember, like the Godslayer series and all that from when we first started this whole Thor shenanigan shit, the Godslayer weapon, all that. Well, future Thor finds it because he threw it in a black hole, and he's able to just fly into a black hole and grab it, and then kills Galactus with it. Cool. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that falls out of it, like all the Asgardians and little Asgardia has to leave Broxton because of reasons. Thor decides to leave his house for the people of Broxton because I guess it's a huge house. Oh, but he's still going to live in it, but he's just not going to live in his room because he gave it to a little girl, and he's just going to hang out there on Earth in his home, away from home. His home that's away from his home, that is away from home. And he's just going to chill. So, like, nothing really changes because no one, like, the Asgardians are still alive. They just got to go somewhere else. Thor didn't leave Broxton, Oklahoma. He just stayed there. Roxxon was defeated, but not defeated. And the only thing that really happened was future Galactus gets killed by future Thor, but then he doesn't because in an epilogue, which is the next issue, he gets up and is like, I'm gonna fuck shit up. Like, so, like, what happens? Nothing. Nothing happened. He doesn't even kiss Rosalind, for that matter. Like, nothing comes of this story. It's just a story where things go on, but nothing goes anywhere. It was like we revved our engines, but forgot to put the car into drive, is kind of what happens. Or what I feel like happens this entire time, The epilogue is really the only thing that gives us any kind of hint to, like, what the hell was even going to go on. They make... like, it's like story time with the granddaughters looking through books and shit like that. We see, like, mentions of the rise of Malekith, Thor killing frost giants, a female Thor, and then we also see that Thor can't lift the hammer at some point. But that's kind of it. Like, not a whole lot happens. The only thing that I get on where to go next is a hint, and that's to look at Thor and Loki, the 10th Realm, which is the original Sin storyline stuff, which could be interesting, could be a lot of fun. I don't know. Trying to put my thoughts together here. Thor, God of Thunder, issues, 19 through 25. it's okay. In all honesty, Asad Ribic's artwork in this really helps. And there's some fun moments in this. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy a lot of this story. It's fun to watch and kind of interesting. Just when you kind of pull back from the situation and look at what's really happening, you realize not a lot's really happening. Just a bunch of dumb shit, really. And Thor just trying to swoon Rosalind, even though I'm pretty sure he was pounding bitches left and right in some future stories, and then all of a sudden he's coming back to Midgard oh yeah, here's this girl I'm going to try to win over. Oh hey, Jane Foster, you're there too, but nah, I'm kind of looking at Rosalind right now. Oh, but Jane, I need you to do this thing for me. I know you got the cancer and everything, and that's probably really bad for you, and we feel bad, and you probably got treatments and stuff, but I really need you to go with my mom in Asgard and do some stuff on behalf of Midgard. But don't worry, we got the Bifrost. We can take you to your chemotherapy. That's fine, and things are gonna be great. Just don't touch anything while you're up there. Don't lift any hammers or some shit like that, because who knows what will happen. You might get your own series out of it or whatever. But it's okay. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun read. Like I mentioned earlier, Asad's artwork, outstanding. Still has creepy eyes when everyone's surprised. But other than that, it was a lot of fun, a lot of punchy, a lot of weird shit. If I had to give this a rating, I would just say neutral charge. You're not really missing much. And even the last days stuff, not a lot happens anyway. I'm trying to remember if this ties into last days of Thor or last days, Marvel had this huge thing last days of whatever character, and when the Marvel universe just goes to shit. But I don't think that's part of that storyline, because I think that happens after that happens after Original Sin, because I remember Deadpool has his Original Sin storyline, and then it's the last days of Deadpool when all that happens. So yeah, so this isn't part of the last days shit. This is just their own thing. I don't even know. I don't even know. Because he puts Jason Aaron puts on there the last days of Midgard, so it would insinuate that it's part of that storyline, but I guess it's not. I don't know. I'm confused and tired. But that's gonna be it, guys. We had fun talking. We had fun chatting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this a little bit longer than normal episode. Got work in the morning, so I'm going to just call it. I'm just going to call it. I was going to say something else, but just call it. Call it quits. Call it a night. We're just going to fold, guys. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I didn't drink coffee this time. And I need a shower and shave. And, well, I guess I could do that in the morning. And I guess I don't have to shave. Just, I'll look like garbage. These are the things that I need to edit. So, all right, guys. Thank you once again for listening to the Bry-Fy podcast this week. Sorry for the random ramblings with me at the end of this year. If you just enjoyed anything or hated it all, let me know by going on my social media and just yelling at me. You can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. Everything is at Bry-Fy Podcast. And you can always email bryfypodcast@hotmail.com for suggestions and hate mail and all that great stuff. And always don't forget to rate, review on Podbean or Apple Podcast, because I would love to see that. And I would love if they were positive. That would be a cool thing. And you know what? Just do that. COVID-19 is going around. You're staying inside. You're staying home, not going out as much. Get on podcasts. Rate some stuff. Go just, try online products and be happy. I don't know. But that's it. Let's get out of here. Bry-Fy out. That was fucking weird. Let's try it again. Bry-Fy out.